All right, so this is my first video about things that you can do to heal your brain and heal your mental illness and find your balance again. Um, so I mentioned before, my number one thing was just being lazy about it. I kind of want to dive deep, a little bit deeper into that, and not just like laying around the house being lazy, but when you have bad thoughts come in your head, instead of just thinking, oh great, here we go again, and like interacting with those thoughts every single time, you have to be on top of it every single time something like that happens. Get a crappy thought and just be like, shh, it's okay, and tell that to shh and just go away, or just take a deep breath, let it out, and continue on with what you're doing, and not following that. It's really important to not follow those thoughts because like the way the brain works, you're creating neuron pathways, and if you're always using those pathways and following and using the fear and hate thought pathways, then you're going to build more, you're going to attract more, and just get in the habit of using those. So getting out of the habit of using those is difficult, but it's doable. I can tell you it's doable. So yeah, not don't hate yourself. I would imagine, which actually helped me a lot. I would imagine my light body or my higher self being like, and I've seen it before, I know what it looks like, but just being there with you and just giving yourself a hug, like this beautiful light being that you are, just giving you a hug and letting you know it's going to be okay. You're on the path, you found me, so I can help you. Yeah, and that helped me a lot. Learn to love yourself and know that some of these thoughts going through your head aren't you, and just shushing them away. Um, so yeah, I guess I want to talk a little bit more about the paranoia stuff, and like a little bit more of the thought processes that I was having. And I know other people have, because I've discussed this with others. So like sometimes not necessarily being paranoid, but just thinking like everything that happens, or everything that somebody says, or something that happens on the TV that somebody says, is always like a euphemism or whatever for something that happened in your life. And yeah, it's also a really hard mind state to get out of, just always thinking that. But you can, and with all these things that I'm going to tell you in these next series of videos, you can get out of that mind state, and it's not the end of the world, and you can do it. All right. So about a year and a half ago, I thought I was like fully healed, and my life was going great, and I was just giving off so much positive love energy to everybody, and then I was like, all right, cool. I guess this is a good time to talk about drugs and spiritual awakening in relation to drugs, and the good and bad of psychedelics, in my opinion. So like I said, the weed kind of created this paranoia for me, and then when I found mushrooms, I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. And Molly, I've never done ecstasy or like any of the really hard shit, but I ended up having like a bad acid trip, and when you're in that state, that higher vibrational state, and you start having a bad acid trip, it's really hard, because my personal belief is, like, again, you attract those demonic type entities that will latch onto you. Like I can physically feel it. Like I can feel energy in the way it moves, and sometimes it just doesn't move in certain areas of your body. And I'll explain how to get rid of those too, when you're feeling that. But yeah, it's bad, and I had this bad acid trip where I mean, I learned a lot about the way energy flows between beings, and I saw a lot of things. But ultimately, it put me into that state of just thinking of like fear came in because I was at a show. Like, you shouldn't trip at a show, to be honest. It's bad news. Like, you can do it, like, I did it, I mean, probably less than 10 times, and it was great. But then that one time can throw you way back, you know, especially having like history of mental illness or whatever. Yeah, so it put me in that mind state again, and I was like so devastated because here my life is going amazing, and I thought like it's completely gone. I did it, you know, I finally did it, you know, and then I take acid for some stupid reason, you know, and it puts me back in that mind state, and like that's when I was really like, fuck, I need to like grind down here and do all of these things in combination, and I'll fix myself again, you know. But this time I really have been on top of, like I said, being on top and not being lazy about your thought processes. And this time, and with all of these things I'm going to talk about in combination, has put me in such a good place again. And I'm so thankful to all the previous gurus and prophets and everything that have been way forgers or path walkers, that are able to put that experience out into the ether so that we can tap into it, you know. So those will be on my next videos. I'm going to categorize them as like most important, but ultimately I think all of these things are important, and you want to do them in combination with one another, because that's how you get the most benefit out of all of them. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.